kind of waiting for this one. This is going to be...
I might even have a hotter take this time around.
Well, I already know one of them, and you're fucking wrong.
Oh no, my hot take isn't just quite that. I just, we'll discuss that a little later when it comes to the playlist.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll be the judge of that one. But anyway, let's kick things off. So, hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of The Real Podcasters, the show where we talk all things movies, TV shows, video games, and a bunch of other things in no particular order. My name's Regan, and I'm joined once again by my rather eccentric co-host. It's Dan.
Hello everybody, we are here with episode 33. I sound a bit ill. I apologise. I don't know if I'm getting COVID or not. I guess I'm going to find out when I do a test.
You better not, because we've got Halloween Ends to watch in 5 days.
I'm pretty sure it's not. I think I've just got a bad throat.
Okay.
If it is, then I'm not going to be a happy little bunny.
No, you're not. Because then I'll have to watch Halloween Ends on my own.
Yeah, and you'll see the new Halloween before me, which is just illegal in every single right.
Imagine that.
It's that is the way you just open the reality and fabrics of time. You do that, you've just screwed us all.
Speaking of the fabrics of time and space, that was such a subtle lead into this bit. Very well done.
It was, hey.
Yes, as promised last week when we spoke about Doctor Who Series 8, this week we're talking about Doctor Who Series 9, another somewhat experimental series composed almost entirely of two parts, an episode considered one of the very best and also one of the very worst. You gotta wonder which one we think each of those is. There's a lot to talk about, and to change things up, we're actually just going to kick things off with the main discussion of the episode. We'll still be doing our playlist, that'll just be done after the fact, because quite frankly, I really want to talk about Doctor Who Series 9, and I don't want to waste a single second, because I cannot wait, literally cannot wait to disagree with every single one of Dan's opinions on every single episode. I can guarantee there's going to be something wrong.
I mean, this is going to be a fiery discussion.
Fiery or violent?
Bit of both.
I mean, about as much as violent as it can be with you on the other end of a laptop screen.
It's not even a laptop, it's a tablet.
Lightweight, honestly. The cost of living crisis, man, guys. How Dan can only afford a tablet. A wee tablet. What kind of tablet is it? Is it still that Alcatel thing?
A Huawei.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
I'm going to get a new tablet when I can, because this thing is just dying. It's dying, dude.
Yeah, it's dying.
I think I got it in, when COVID, first hit in, March, 2020 or something like that, Vodafone was just oh, yeah, here's a tablet. Thanks, I guess. But enough about my tablets and shit. We're going to delve into Doctor Who Series 9, and the first episode, The Magician's Apprentice, this is a Stephen Moffat episode.
It is. Yeah, this is an interesting one to rewatch. Because I remember when I first watched it, I really, really liked it.
Yeah?
Not so much now. I mean, I do like it. It's still fairly solid. If, the stuff that I really like is quite minimal, and there's a lot of baggage that I don't really care for. Of course, we'll talk about the biggest thing that this episode does. Well, first of all, what are your general thoughts on this one?
Again, I've seen this episode in the past, as I've mentioned before, I've kind of, just sort of ins and outs with Peter Capaldi's episodes until, actually sitting down and rewatching, or first time watching the, Peter Capaldi era, because, again, it was, pick and choose with many of the episodes.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So, this one I've definitely seen in the past, and I'm pretty much in the same opinion. I like some things in it, and I don't like some things in it. It's just... There are some good things on that episode, and I think as a starter episode, usually I find with Doctor Who, the starter episode is either really good, or it's just okay. I think this is alright.
Yeah.
It's just a bit of a shame that there's more, not so much bad things, it's just, okay things, if that makes any kind of sense. It's just...
there's
I
a
wouldn't
lot
say
of
it's terrible.
yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's thrown at the screen in the first 5 or 10 minutes, which I feel like was done deliberately because when Series 9 aired, it was the same year that it was the 10-year anniversary of the revived series, and people thought, oh, are they going to do something? No, because
Nah.
it's not a big enough anniversary. Plus, Matt already left 2 years prior. David only just came back 2 years prior as well, and Eccleston washed his hands of everything. So what the hell would be the point? So you have like the Shadow Proclamation popping up again. You've got the Maldivarium. You've got Khan from Star Trek apparently, but also from the classic series of Doctor Who, making a reappearance again. But of course, the biggest thing that this does is the return of Davros, played once again by Julian Bleach, but also as a kid. Which, when I saw that for the first time, my reaction was pretty much the same as the Doctor's reaction, just like a look of fear and absolute dread. Just like,
Yep.
oh, I'm going to have to deal with this kid in a couple of 100 years. Great. I cannot wait for that.
Kid who creates the most like deadly war machine in the entire universe.
Yeah, just like a genocidal pepper shaker. There's a few-
Genocidal pepper shaker.
Yeah, if only. Yeah, I mean, even now, that reveal still works really well. That being said, there's like zero context for like a newer fan as to what the hell's even going on in that opening scene
Oh,
with
no,
like
absolutely.
fucking biplanes. I'm like, this is set on a different planet, isn't it? But then there's like biplanes and there's regular guns and stuff. It's weird. It's such a weird choice.
Yeah, I think if you were like watching that for the first ever time, I think you're naturally going to be a bit confused with it. I think because we're quite like hardcore fans of Doctor Who, like we can kind of slip into it very easily. But as somebody watching that as like a starting point, they'd be like, "Who the hell is this kid?"
Yeah. That being said, I do know this whole idea of Davros rocking up as a kid was actually rumoured a couple of months prior. I can remember reading that, and everyone was like, well, no, because you just wouldn't have someone like Davros be shown as a kid. And I thought, well, you showed the Doctor as a kid in the last series, so anything's really possible at this point.
Yeah, the Doctor was a wrinkly potato at one point.
Yeah. I'm just thinking of a wrinkly potato with a voice. I'd really rather not, frankly. But I do actually remember when we spoke about Series 4, and I did mention that I wasn't big on the usage of Davros in that series. I actually preferred Davros in this episode and the next one as well. I think he's used far better and a lot closer to the classic series, where he's quite like shadowy and manipulative, as opposed to being treated like a pet.
Yeah, he's not a Supreme Dalek's pet in this. It's quite the opposite.
Yeah, and instead he has a pet called Colony Sarf, who brings harm.
Snake Man.
As he says, I'm like, this is just more comedic than menacing, frankly. I do like the design until it becomes a CGI snake and it looks atrocious.
Yeah, it kind of had me like, oh, this villain looks okay, and then the CGI, and it's like, he's just a giant man of snakes, apparently.
Yeah.
I mean, look, he's cool. I'll get it. I mean, it's a cool idea and it's a cool design, but execution-wise, maybe not so much.
Yeah. I think the other thing that was executed rather interestingly was the Doctor in this series. Well, in this episode, when he first rocks up, he's literally on top of a tank, doing a guitar riff of the Doctor Who theme. Now, no offense, I absolutely love this. Like, it is completely bonkers, and I do actually really like that.
It's so silly, but it's funny. I will stick with it, but it's kind of like, what? At the same time.
Yeah, it's like he's going through a midlife crisis.
Yeah, literally.
Which
he's going through a Time Lord crisis.
He's let his hair out. It's now a lot more fluffy, which is nowhere near the fluff it's going to get in Series 10, which is just peak fluff. And now he's wearing like hoodies and like weird Second Doctor style trousers and everything. And it's, at first I was like, what the hell is this? Because I was used to
literally
just
going through a Time Lord's crisis of age.
Yeah, which I suppose
like,
makes sense.
I've reached my 12th regeneration now. Panic.
Yeah, just why not? that being said, they do like make a big deal about the fact like, the Doctor's missing. I'm like, yeah, but there's probably a Doctor running around in 2015 if he decided to go back in time. It's probably like the 42nd Doctor.
The 42nd Doctor.
As if we're going to get that. We probably will.
Really?
So then like the first 20 minutes is mostly composed of Clara and Missy, because they waste absolutely zero time in bringing Missy back. She's like, yeah, she's back. Ta-da. And she's putting her head out of a screen like a cartoon character, and I'm like, no. Bit weird. But it's really good to see that despite getting a lot of characterization in Series 8, Clara's back to being absolutely pointless.
Yeah, it's... I don't know, I mean... Do you know what it is? I think after seeing so much of Cardboard Clara in the other seasons, I was just kind of used to it at this point. I didn't want to be, and I didn't like the fact that I was used to it, because I kind of want a good character. It's like the Doctor's accomplice.
Accomplice as if he's like a criminal. Well, yeah. He is.
Well, I mean, you know.
Yeah, there's not much more that goes on with this episode, really. It's mostly just set up for the next episode.
It's actually set up for the next episode, and I think it's kind of weird that... I'm sure you agree with this. I think it's just weird they start off the series with a two-parter. That's just strange to me.
I mean, it wouldn't be the first time they've done it, because I mean, they did it with Series 6.
And
they do it again in Series 12. But, I mean, you know, as I say, like, this series is mostly comprised of two parts, which I actually don't mind, because at least it leaves a lot more breathing room to expand the story. In theory, depending on the story, and whether or not the story's already good.
Yeah.
But yes, moving on to The Witch's Familiar, again, a Meaven Stoffat. I can just see you laughing there. Written by Regan Stoffat.
Regan Stoffat.
Yeah, it's basically the same again. I love the scenes between Davros and the Doctor. It feels very classic Who. And you do feel like, yeah, you know what, these guys are like really good, like heroes and villains for one another. Clara is once again sidelined, thrown into a Dalek because Missy is a complete nutcase. Speaking of, there is some Daleks in this, but they do nothing. That being said, there is...
I remember seeing those like classic Daleks. I thought, this is bizarre. Why are these old ones and then all these like new ones, like a Supreme Dalek and stuff? It's odd to me. Like, I don't know, maybe like it's a different hierarchy or something like that, but like, why would you have Daleks from like the 60s in an episode that has Daleks from like whenever the first Dalek episode was in Series 1?
Yeah, it's like trying to do Asylum of the Daleks again, but it doesn't work.
It's...
I guess because with it being on Skaro, I thought, yeah, but it doesn't make sense to just have a bunch of them together. That being said, this is the first time ever that you do see the Special Weapons Dalek talk, and it does confirm that the inside of it lights up when it talks, because apparently it had never spoken at all, even in Asylum of the Daleks. It just sort of stood off in the corner. I'm like, this is the closest you've gotten, again, to using that bastard Dalek. Arguably the best Dalek ever. And it's just like, yeah, it does nothing. It does absolutely nothing.
It's just there for aesthetic reasons, I guess. It's just...
And the aesthetics are great. Don't get me wrong.
It looks cool as hell, but it would be more cooler if I actually saw the thing in action.
Mm-hmm. Well, exactly. And then you get the idea that the Dalek word for sewer is also the same for graveyard, and there's just like decaying Daleks underneath the city. I'm like, that's a bit creepy. I quite like that.
Oh yeah, I found that really disturbing. I was like, oh, I like this. This is kind of morbid.
Yeah.
We're just starving Daleks of the sewer. Huh.
I mean, again, it's they're trying really hard to do something interesting with the Daleks again, and I'm like, you're trying, but you're also furthering the idea that you are literally just using them every series because you have to, as opposed to because you want to. Because I don't get it with this at all.
Do you know what it is? Like, I wouldn't mind if they didn't have, like, a Dalek episode in a series, because, as you say, like, they just get used in every series, and it's now trying to think of what can we do with them that is exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Because, let's face it, let's go back to, I don't know, Series 2, and with the Cult of Skaro, like, that that thing was just like a total, oh my god. Like, it sure was for me as a kid, because like I had no idea what the hell I was walking into. And this was like the first time seeing like a group of Daleks since like classic episodes of Doctor Who.
Yeah.
But with this, it's just like, yeah, you've done something cool, but it's not too exciting. It's like, oh, there's a sewer full of like starving Daleks. I think, oh, okay, and
I mean, like, at the very least, the opted to do something interesting with Davros, where they make him like proper classic style, where he's the most manipulative I think I've ever seen of him. Where he's like, "Oh, you saved
definitely.
Gallifrey, well done. I'm actually really happy." And he starts crying, and then like he reveals his eyes, and then by the end, yeah, of course he's talking bullshit, and his like master plan is completely bonkers.
Do you know what it is? I really like the interactions with the Doctor and him. Like, again, like it's very like classic vibe with the manipulation and stuff like this. I think it's really good. It's just kind of a shame about everything else in the episode, especially Clara. She's just there again.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get to Clara in a second, but I do actually think like probably like the best line in that entire episode. I actually think is the one that harkens back to the Curse of Fatal Death, where it's like where when the Doctor wakes up and Davros is like, you should be really privileged to be sitting on the only chair on Skaro. I'm like, that's a good point. You wouldn't need chairs. You're all squid tanks.
You're all squid tanks.
Squid tanks. Squidward in a tank. Oh, if only. But yeah, the only thing that Clara does is that she basically just becomes Oswin for 10 or 15 minutes. What I will say though, actually, I think the worst thing that happens in this episode is the idea that like the Dalek shells, when you're talking inside of it, it'll just change the words if it's too nice.
Yeah, to exterminate.
Yeah, I was like, I hate that. That goes completely against the point of a Dalek. I mean, you're like, oh, so I mean, are they all nice now? Are they all secretly nice, and in reality, the tank is the evil one?
That like it doesn't really make any sense whatsoever. Like a Dalek is pure hate. Like, why would it think nice things? It's been bred to be like evil from the moment it escapes its weird tentacly thing.
Yeah, and it's also like emotion fires the gun. I'm like, no, bloody doesn't. There's probably a button for
I
it.
hated that. I hated that.
No, I can remember
Like,
watching
it's
that
a
for
little
the first...
squid creature. It has lots of tentacles. It's probably wrapped around the gun, ready to fire whenever it wants to.
I mean, it's... Even when I watched it for the first time, I was like, what the fuck is this? And even like by the end, when like Clara's trying to talk to the Doctor, and she's like saying mercy, and he's like, that word doesn't exist in your vocabulary. I'm like, end of series 5. That bloody Stone Dalek asks for mercy. So I was like, honest to God. But yeah, Clara just becomes like Oswin for 10 or 15 minutes. Pointless. Absolutely pointless.
I will say I think it's when Missy just shoves her into the Dalek. I did laugh at that because it was just so unexpected.
Oh yeah, I did as well.
I think I just found it more hilarious, the fact that like when Clara started getting annoyed, like the Dalek gun just started firing and Missy's just starting jumping around trying to avoid the laser shots. I had a bit of a chuckle at that, but then it just became a bit silly with all the stuff that just doesn't make sense in terms of Daleks and stuff. It just irritated me in some ways. Like, as a kid growing up, Daleks were always like the most terrifying thing Doctor Who ever gave to me. Like, it's a machine that can just blow up the entire universe if it wants to, and one man with 2 hearts is going to stop it.
Yeah.
But
no,
yeah,
that being said, I mean, we also get our first hints at the wider story arc in a random placement where Davros suggested the reason that the Doctor fled Gallifrey was because of the hybrid, which is 2 great warrior races being forced together to create a warrior greater than anything else. And I'm like, okay. No, well, of course it's going to be spoilers. This arc isn't exactly tied up by the ends.
No.
And in fact was actually answered in Doctor Who magazine, which we'll get to, of all bloody things to do.
Literally never ever got anything more. It's just, the hybrid. That's all you're getting. That's all you're getting.
But yeah, in Davros's case, it's like, it's a joining of Dalek and Time Lord DNA, hence why he wants to steal the Doctor's regenerations. I'm pretty sure that's going to be the plot for the Power of the Doctor in a couple of weeks, but wouldn't be the first time the Cherubino has stolen ideas from a prior story. But there you go. Next up, though, this is going to be interesting. Under the Lake by Toby Whithouse. Doctor Who's second attempt at ghosts in about 2 years. Now, I've got a vague recollection of you saying this one was all right.
Yeah.
Is it all right?
I mean, as a setting, right, it is pretty good. Like, I like the fact they're exploring this underwater base that's abandoned and it's inhabited by ghosts who do look quite creepy. I will give them that, especially with the blacked out eyes. It looks creepy as hell.
Mm-hmm.
But it really should have just been a one-parter, I think. Like, two-parter just made it so boring. Because I don't like the second part of it. I just think it makes it so bloated. Like, it could have done a one-parter episode and it would have been fine.
See, this is why I'm quite happy to be talking about Series 9 of all them, because I disagree, personally. But this will not be the first time that this happens. There is definitely...
Oh, you're going to hear this a lot in this episode.
Oh, there's like at least 4 episodes where I'm like, I don't know what the hell you're on about, Dan. I don't get it. No, I actually really like this one. I'm same with you with the setting. I think the underwater base under siege is a perfect setting because, for one, with it being underwater, you've got immediate tension just purely on the location.
Oh, yeah.
Like at any point, the water could get through, and the characters already have the ghost to deal with. The ghost as well, great design. Love the hollowed out eyes. But also the fact it can pick up objects. Something like you see it looking at the axe and you're thinking, oh yeah, just keep on looking and then...
Do you know what it is? I like that scene so much. It's like the Doctor's trying to communicate with them and then one of them turns to get the axe. It's like,
Okie dokie.
it's the face. You just see it drop. You're like, I know what's going to happen here. No, don't get that.
Even the Tavolian character with the top hat and the little mouse face.
I think he's the creepiest looking ghost.
Yeah.
I think he just looks so bloody creepy.
The first trailer that dropped for the series, there is a shot of him just sort of like walking through the hallway with all the shadows and stuff, and it looked amazing. And even at that point, I was like, is it a Tavolian? Because it looks like him. I was like, are you bringing back David Williams and making him evil? No, I'm afraid not. We wouldn't do that. But yeah, I mean, it's these kind of episodes and the next one which proves to me that in reality the person who should have taken over as showrunner was not Chris Chibnall. It should have been Toby Whithouse, because he already did a bunch of seasons with Being Human, which apparently was really good. I really need to get to that properly. I've only watched like a few episodes of that. And he's done some cracking episodes of Doctor Who. Obviously, the other arc we get in this one is with Clara, because she didn't have one in the last episode.
Yeah.
So, very little family. Daddy's dead. Yes.
God, I wasn't expecting that.
And she's got a vague career on Earth. So basically the rest of her life is tied up with the Doctor, and now we're getting the idea that she's a little bit too comfortable and is like begging for danger and adventure and stuff. So you do get like a scene where the Doctor like, could you not do that, please? Because that's my job.
Clingy Clara.
Oh, clingy Clara. I like that. So we went from cardboard Clara to character Clara to clingy cardboard Clara.
Yeah.
CCC.
CCC. The 3 C's. Clingy cardboard Clara.
Yeah. Clara is just a description, which in fairness I think we used a few months ago, where it's like, this character is doing a Clara.
Yeah.
I love Jen Coleman to bits, but my god, is this character annoying. So it's nice that she's given a bit of an arc. Of course, it's weird with the revelation of what the ghosts are, which I'm still trying to get in my head. So in reality, they're like they're like a signal for the real villain, which we see in the next episode before the flood, which is the Fisher King, which I'll get to because I'm very biased for this, really, really biased. But I think I remember you saying that with Before the Flood, it was pretty much the same as the previous one. You think it's all right, but I think I remember you saying you got a bit confused with this.
Yeah, I think it's just the way like it's all because obviously it's the Doctor has to go back and forth in time to uncover this artifact or whatever before it's like covered by the ocean or something like that. But it's just a really muddled up episode. I think it's like 1 minute that Tavoli's alive, the next minute he's a ghost. It's like all right then.
Yeah, I mean, similar to the previous, I still really like this one. I really like the villain. I think the design.
I like
really
the Fisher
good.
King. I think the design is really good.
But we'll address the opening. I'll say it firsthand though. First of all, the version of the music that plays over the titles, which is actually Peter Capaldi doing the Doctor Who theme on the guitar again, is absolutely amazing. When I rewatched this episode, I played that theme constantly, and I'm like, this should have been the theme from then on. And it wasn't. I was like, it's so perfect. It perfectly fits his Doctor. And I already liked the theme tune for that one anyway, but putting in the electric guitar again, like we haven't heard the guitar in a Doctor Who theme since 2010, technically, with the final end of time thing. But of course, the rest of the opening is the Doctor talking to the camera again, discussing the bootstrap paradox, which even when trying to write it down, I'm like, does that make sense? Because when he says it makes sense. When I write it down, it doesn't. So this is something that it's like a fairly common time travel thing. The idea that you create your own history based on the knowledge of it. So his example is you go back in time to see Beethoven. Beethoven doesn't exist, but you brought all the music for him to sign, so you copy out all the music and get it published, and then you become Beethoven. But then who actually wrote the original sheet music? And I'm like, ow, that really
my
hurts.
head, my brain.
And you know what it is? It wasn't actually until the rewatch for this that I finally I was fully able to understand like the climax of the episode because of the bootstrap paradox thing. Obviously with the Doctor facing off against the Fisher King, and he's like, you've got like the weird words that are in the ship where if you read them you'll get killed and you become a ghost, and the Doctor says that he deleted it from his memory, so the Fisher King runs off. In reality the Doctor was just lying. And for years I was like, no, we deleted them, because he said so yeah, speaking of the Fisher King, little bit of tidbit about this. So the voice actually comes from Darth Maul himself, Peter Serafinowicz, which is amazing. I love that. The roaring is actually from Slipknot.
What? No way.
I'm not even kidding. It is literally Slipknot.
What the hell?
Yeah. But the guy doing the physical performance is Neil Fingleton, who's done a bunch of stuff in mostly Game of Thrones, like nearly 8 feet tall, who lived across the road from my grandparents over in Gilesgate. So I got to meet him a couple of times, as in meet up, because he's bloody tall. Sadly, he passed away a couple of years ago, but he got me a signed photograph of him and Peter Capaldi behind the scenes on the set of this episode. That's currently on the fireplace, and it's just always there. So obviously, when I say that I really like this episode and I really like the Fisher King, it's more. It also added to the fact that I've actually met the damn guy. That being said, I wouldn't go too far, because then, like, by that logic, I'd say that my favourite Doctor is actually Peter Davison, because I've met him, when it's not. Because that being said, the design of the Fisher King is so spot on. I
It
think
is
it's a
great.
perfect design. Although when he starts walking back to the ship and it's just like one long take, and you're like, yeah, you look a little bit uncomfortable in that, Neil. Just like a little bit. It's like slowly walking along.
Kind of like trudges off back to his spaceship.
As he bloody
You can
should.
like imagine him with like a little like space bubble with profanity in it. He's just like,
I'm just trying to think of like, who was it? Is it Burgess Meredith who plays the Penguin in the old Batman series? It is, isn't it? Yeah. Well, anyway, yeah. Speaking of the Doctor as well, we get to see him back in his manipulative side again, where he figures out the list of people that are going to die, and then opts to not really do anything until it's Clara's go.
oh yeah, it's kind of like, do you know what it is? It just reminds me a lot of Kill the Moon.
Yeah, there's a fair amount of this that also reminded me of Kill the Moon. This is decidedly better, which, you know, I also like that
Clara,
episode.
just do your thing. It's
Yeah.
your choice.
As in,
do your thing. You
do
fix
nothing.
this mess. You fix this mess.
yeah. Oh God, if only. Because if she did, it would
Do you
be
know
a
what it
very
is when,
short episode.
When Clara spots the ghost of the Doctor and he just floats down the water, I thought that was creepy as hell.
Oh, yeah, I mean, especially like the cliffhanger from the previous one of revealing the Doctor as a ghost, I'm like, that is about as empty as the water that he's floating in.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, oh no, is he going to die? No. Like, you're literally in the 3rd episode of a series with 12 episodes, I can't wait. Like, it would be creepier if it was Clara. That would be quite funny. Like, is she going to die in like every single episode? Or
The cardboard ghost.
although if you have a cardboard ghost in the water, it's just going to kind of shrivel up within like
Yeah, it's
minutes.
just gonna like fall apart, isn't it? Like,
Oh, if only. But yeah, overall, I do really like this one. Well, next up, we've got a very interesting two-parter. The Girl Who Died, which is the first half, written by Jamie Mattison and Stephen Moffat. So Mattison's back writing an episode. I keep on forgetting this one beyond the last 5 minutes.
yeah, it's alright. I mean, it's entertaining as such. I mean,
Is
kind
it?
of an interesting combo as, you know, bunch of Vikings just... Well, do you know what it is? It's a little girl who just causes all these bloody problems. She's like, I declare war on you. Like, the Doctor could have just been like, yeah, just go back to your planet. Like, you know, whatever's happened has happened. But no, this little kid is just like, I declare war on you.
Yeah, I mean, clearly Maisie Williams was really like channeling a lot of Game of Thrones vibes there. It was like, well,
Oh, yeah, do you know
I
what it
declared
is?
war a lot in
Somebody
that
who's
series, so...
Somebody who's watched that, like, it's literally just her. Like,
That being
you know for a
said,
fact that she's not going to let down. She's going to start a fight.
it was a massive deal when they announced that she was going to be in it. Because, I mean, you know, Game of Thrones was still massive at that point to having, like, a Game of Thrones alumni being in it, especially for Maisie Williams. And the trailers were very, very baity. Because I think the first one ends with a shot from the next one, when she's like, what took you so long, old man? And the Doctor clearly recognises and people are like, oh, is she playing someone from like the Doctor's past? Is she like Romana or the Rani? I'm like, no. They're not going to get Maisie Williams to do that. And then someone was like, is it a regenerated version of Susan? I'm like, they wouldn't have the balls to do that. Because if they did, I would have stopped watching three years early. Yeah, that being said, I think Maisie Williams is alright in this. I think a Shielder is vaguely interesting, but only more interesting by the end.
Yeah. Do you know what it is? Like, it's the start of the episode. It's like, oh, Vikings.
Yay.
Then Vikings get kidnapped by
David
gonk
Score.
droid looking.
It's a steroid-induced gonk droid.
It literally is, though. It's the
I
square
didn't think
face.
about that. Oh, Jesus, I'm never
Because you know
gonna.
what it is, when upon rewatching that thing, all I had in my head was just gonk.
Gonk,
Gonk droid.
gonk.
Like, literally, it's just a steroided up gonk droid.
Has
Like the antennas and everything.
That is so much better than what they are. Which is, according to the Doctor, one of the deadliest warrior races in the galaxy. I'm like, no, they're not. You need to stop saying that for like every single one. Just like, oh no, this is like the threatiest threat of them all. I'm like, it's not though. It just isn't. Like, I'm literally looking at it and it's not. I'm like, are you saying that these guys are giving the Daleks a run for the money? I'm like, no, they're not. They're just not.
Steroided up gonk droids giving the Daleks a run for their money.
Gonk.
Gonk.
Oh, if only. Yeah, I think like there's two notable things with this. First of all, we get some closure on the Doctor's face, which I kind of forgot about until the episode decides to bring it up. Because I think a lot of people, when Capaldi was announced, they were like, oh, but he was in the Pompeii episode. Is he like the same character? And we're like, well, no, of course he's not the same character, you melon. Honestly.
Oh crap! Yeah, he is. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, but instead it's revealed when he's like, I don't know what to do. In reality, his subconscious has chosen this face to remind him to save people. I'm like, I don't think he was going to forget. Just like, right, I'm the Doctor. Bye.
I'm the Doctor. Bye. I'm going to go save people. Let's see how that goes.
That being said, I do actually like I like it in concept. I'm like, that's actually not a bad idea. That being said, I'm like, okay, what about Colin Baker's face? Because he appeared in Doctor Who prior as well. I'm like, is that supposed to remind him? But maybe I'm reaching at that point. But then the other one is the reveal of a new hybrid with Ashilda becoming immortal. Which I actually really like the final shot as it's doing like the whole time-lapse sunrise to sunset thing, and she's initially smiling, she's like, ooh, I can live forever. And then it cuts to a close-up and she's like really, really, like the exact opposite. Is like, oh, I'm going to live forever. Shit.
Yeah. I've outlived everybody I've ever known so far.
Which, to be honest, I think there's a lot of stuff that works in the next episode with The Woman Who Lived by Catherine Tregenna, which, again, look, I'm not big on this episode at all. There's a lot of stuff that really doesn't work. But I do like the stuff with Ashilda, or actually now calls herself Me. Which, sorry, that's actually a genius idea. Just like, oh, she's now that old. There's no point in having a name beyond Me because she's just on her own. I'm like, that's actually really cool. And I love the idea of her having a library full of diaries of her life because she can't remember anything to a certain point. I might have stolen that idea for a short film idea I came up with when I was doing a screenwriting university thing last year. I say it kind of stole it. I completely
I kind of stole it.
That being said, I didn't use the giant lion, surprisingly enough.
Oh, God.
Yeah, let's talk briefly about Leandro, which I'm sorry. I only just remembered the name before we started recording, and I'm sorry, but that is the shittest name for a Doctor Who villain since the Maya, which is in the previous episodes.
Well, we've now scratched that to steroid-upped gonk droid, so...
Steroid gonk.
Well, it's just gonk droid, but all in capitals now.
Yeah. Gonk droid!
Yeah. Yeah, I think this has got to be like one of the stupidest villains that Doctor Who has ever given me. And I mean, you know what it is? I could see through the whole thing of that he's going to turn on her.
Well, yeah, because he
looks
looks evil.
Episode was going to be. Well, he just looks like a twat.
Jesus.
He is. He's just an absolute twat. It's like, oh, take me with you. No.
Oh, the swearing.
Like, oh,
this
wow.
is getting even worse, I swear to God.
Yeah, I told you it's going to be a hot take. Like, I knew for a fact she was.
It's barely a hot take. No one likes it.
Take me with you. The line's like, no. It's literally like toddlers fighting over wooden blocks.
Yeah, I would. Nuh-uh. No, I wouldn't take it to my planet. I'm going to invade it and blow it up.
Like, alright, Lionel, whatever your name is, you blooming loser.
Lionel.
Lionel. Lionel the lion. Leandro the lion, the loser.
Oh, we're only halfway through the series, I swear to God.
Yeah, this episode is only interesting just for me, quite literally. That is about it. Like, I just zoned out, especially with the stuff with the loser lion.
Yeah. I mean, there's slightly more done with the hybrid thing, where it's like, oh, is she the hybrid now? I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake. Like, you're just going to do that in like, every single episode now?
Oh, I know, like, it's just gonna... You know what it is? After that, I just knew they were gonna... Well, I kind of predicted, but again, we never really got any closure with the hybrid thing. It was like, is every episode just gonna be, you're the hybrid?
Wouldn't it be funny if, like, in the next episode, instead of the Zygons, the Doctor just materialised on the set of Top Gear and they're, like, reviewing a Toyota Prius and is like, you're the hybrid. That'd be something. Well, actually, it wouldn't. Well,
see,
wouldn't it be better?
I'm surprised that... You know what it is? That would be perfect for, like, marketing.
Yeah.
You're the hybrid.
Yeah, we'll just move on because there's not a lot of this one. Now, these ones. The Zygon Invasion by Peter Harness. Previous writing credit is Kill the Moon. Fairly different episode, to say the least.
Yeah.
But I've always had a soft spot for this one and the next one. But again, I've got...
What it is? I think Zygon episodes, no matter how sort of weak... I'm not going to say bad, because I haven't really seen a Zygon, like, Doctor Who episode that I consider bad.
Well, because this is only the third attempt.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's only the third attempt at them. I mean, like, the last time, like, I mean, the classic era one I watched, I think, was like a Fourth Doctor one or something like that.
Yes.
Terror
Yes,
of the Zygons or something like that it was called.
Yeah,
Terror
scary.
of the Zygons. Scary. Scary. Scary sucker face monster things. Yeah, I like this episode. Definitely one of the more positive episodes for me personally.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I mean, I do like the fact that we get a nice continuation of the arc that we've seen in Day of the Doctor, so at least it doesn't sound like it was just completely wasted. There was something continuing with that. Of course, you've got Osgood, who I think is used in this two-parter better than the previous stories, to say the least.
Oh, definitely.
I really like the back and forth. It's like, is she Zygon or is she human? And it's like, it doesn't matter. Like, it literally doesn't matter.
See, that's the message it brings out.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
It's
It's all peace and love and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's nice and political and stuff like that, which this two-part absolutely is, especially this one. When, like, literally the Doctor goes in with a squad of soldiers to try and get out some Zygons, and they're all posing as the soldiers' families, and I'm like, no, that's not fair. Though I do like, and this is something that's, I don't think I've really addressed too much, but the idea is this: it's not all the Zygons that are evil. Like, the vast majority are quite happy to just live their lives, and it's just a splinter group. I really appreciate that, actually, because I usually don't like when it's just like, oh, the entire species is evil. Like, every single one. I mean, like, Daleks, it makes sense. Cybermen makes sense. Zygons, not really, because they don't really have an end goal. Like they even say it's used as a defense mechanism, the whole shape-shifting thing. So I really appreciate that, because it would have been easy to just make all of them evil, frankly.
Yeah, I'm glad they actually did something different with that. I mean, like, go back to the classic one, they're just inherently evil, apparently. It's just like, oh yeah, we're going to invade Earth. No questions asked. But this one, it's like, well, we just kind of want to live in peace. Like, we just want to be with you on this planet.
Yeah.
Not too much to ask.
Yeah.
But then it's like, what I really like about that episode is, like, it's not just the Zygons who are, like, sort of seen as evil.
Oh yeah, it's the humans as well. Because it makes sense, because, I mean, I pretty much immediately just, like, unit are like, no, we'll just kill every single one of them. I'm like, Kate, dear.
What would your father say?
We didn't actually reference the fact that her father's technically in the last series as a Cyberman, and it's morbid as hell, and I hate it. I'm like, he literally blows himself up in the sky. I'm like, oh no. Stephen! Stephen, man!
Why?
I'm like...
All those years of Sergeant Benton! And you crush it. You crush my nostalgia for Classic Who.
I still maintain the last...
Over.
I still like to think like the last canon time that this character appears, at least chronologically, is actually in the Sarah Jane Adventures, and our one story pops up in...
That's with those weird squid things.
The Bane.
Yeah, that's it. The Bane.
Oh, yes! I was wondering who would show up first.
Oh, no, don't. But you know what it is? Like, I just love the fact, like, he doesn't have a piss or anything like that. It's just a gun built into his freaking walking stick.
Yeah.
It's got, like, a trigger and everything. Like,
No, that's brilliant.
Ah, Sarah Jane!
Oh, no, what have I
Take
started?
control! Take control of your age.
Now, Dan, how are But of course we have basically evil Clara as well for like a little bit, which I really like that as a twist. I'm like, yay, you're giving us something to do by making her someone else. Damn it.
Yeah, do you know what it is? Like, I think the first time watching that, I was like, wow, we've actually done something with Clara. I'm like, Clara's evil, never mind. But yeah, fine.
And she blows up the Doctor in his plane. I'm like, no, he doesn't. I mean, well, no, she doesn't.
Do you know what it is? My first thoughts to that, because obviously that's where the first part ends, isn't it? When the plane blows up.
Yeah, I was like, oh no, the Doctor's dead. Again.
Trying to know what my reaction to was that.
Just like, what?
It was you little psychopathic bitch.
She is, though. Yeah, that now leads into the Zygon inversion, also written by Peter Harness, but also with Stephen Moffat, because of course you do. Let's first address Clara / Bonnie / Zygella, which I'm still trying to figure out the reference to that. I'm like, is it supposed to be like Nigella Lawson, the chef woman? But that doesn't make any sense. I don't get what it was. That being said,
I thought it was like, because obviously you get Zygon.
Mm-hmm.
So when she goes Zygella, I thought that was like the female version of a Zygon. But I mean, I don't know. I'd never really caught on with that. But that's my interpretation of it. But apparently not. So, but I think it's Nigella Lawson now.
I've ruined it. She looks exactly the same. It's fine. She also looks like a giant alien sucker thing. Obviously, we've only seen her in one form. But yeah, I actually really like the addition of Bunny in this, is because it's nice that now the Doctor has something else to like fight against when it has like his friend's face, but also because then it means that Clara has nothing to do, bar the opening scene where she's fighting with herself on the TV, which I quite like that idea. I think
I kind of like
intriguing.
The sort of I suppose like I suppose you could say it was like a coma she's kind of in while she's being cloned. Yeah, I like that. I like that she has to fight her own thoughts to battle the Zygella.
Yeah.
Or Bonnie.
But compared to the last episode, this one is very little action and mostly just character, which I do actually appreciate, because we did need both to be like big actiony things. So the Zygons are still portrayed as, you know, a lot of them really don't want to be involved in this. But of course, I think the big thing in this episode is of course the climax in the Black Archive, where, as I say, it's just them talking, which I absolutely love. I love that.
It's not resolved with violence for once.
Yeah, exactly. And even just reading like the speech that he gives, it actually tops, I think personally, or at least up until that point, I think it tops the speech at the end of the Rings of Akaton in Series 7 for being like my favourite speech that the Doctor gives to someone.
Yeah.
But it's perfect because I mean, even now, especially when I've been doing like my own little writing and stuff, and you have like little villains and stuff in, and I'm like, okay, we're gonna have to figure out the villain's actual plan of action after they actually win, because what's the point? Because even he's like, well, what are you gonna do? I mean, like, are they gonna is there gonna be music? Is there gonna be films? Are you gonna have guitars and stuff like that? Because you know, they hadn't thought about that, because you know they're just very, very reactionary. But that speech, like honestly, that could still bring us to tears. It's a great speech. I can remember sharing it actually. Yeah, I shared like a screenshot of it. I think it was just after bloody Russia invaded Ukraine in, was it February or something? And I just sent out that like speech, and like I wish Putin would like read that, because it just informs everything that's going
Sure
on.
it is. I think when like you rewatch it, especially with like the current climate of it all, it's just so relevant. So relevant. And you know what it is? I mean, as we said, like that scene where they just sat down, Kate to Kate, Bonnie to Bonnie,
Just talking.
just talking. It's not resolved with one of them having a gun to the other person. It's just them sat at a table in the Black Archive, just holding their hand above a button. That's it.
Yeah.
Simplistic.
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic conclusion to this two-part. It does leave the door open for doing something else with the Zygons, which unfortunately we haven't seen since. I don't think at all. I don't think we've seen a single one since this story, which is a shame, because with this two-part, it does prove you can do a lot of stuff with the Zygons without just making them just villains. Like, you can do something else, and I will always go back to this story as reasons why Doctor Who being political can work, because that's definitely a criticism of the newer series, where it puts like the politics first and the story second. This one is a nice balance, I think, because it's like it's so unabashedly political, but it's still a really solid story, so I don't mind. Okay. I had to look up which episode came next.
Oh god.
The irony. The irony of the title of this one. Sleep No More by Mark Gatiss. I fucking fell asleep in this one the first time I watched it.
I can't even remember a damn thing about this episode. You're gonna have to like remind me of this, because I just don't remember anything at all.
This is the one with the
Maybe
found
I fell
footage
asleep
gimmick. So they have like all the characters beyond Clara and the Doctor with like helmet cams, so we're seeing their like perspective for the entire episode.
This one.
Which I don't mind in concept, but don't apply it to the entire episode.
No, like if I'm gonna watch like a found footage thing, I'm gonna go watch a terrible horror film with it utilised. I'm not gonna want to watch Doctor Who with it.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm not gonna lie. I did very little research on this one to review it, because I didn't bother watching it again when I went through Series 9 again, because I thought I can't be arsed with this.
no, I think like if I was gonna watch Series 9 again, I think this would definitely be the one to skip. Like, there's another one that I'd definitely skip as well. Not as badly though.
We are gonna get
It's
at that.
kind of like a 50-50, but Sleep No More is like 100% definite skip. The other one is sort of like a 50-50. Depends on the mood, I suppose.
As in, like, the wrong mood. Because I know exactly which episode you're talking about, and this is the reason why I want to talk about Doctor Who first before we do the playlist. I thought I'm going to be talking a lot. Yeah, we'll just briefly talk about this one. Yeah, it's crap. Moving on. I'm sorry, Mark. You're still proving that. I'm still not. I don't think I've liked, beyond like Victory of the Daleks for like 70% of it, I don't think I've liked a single one of his episodes at all. There's some sand people as well. The Sandmen or something.
The sand creature things are alright. I mean, they're quirky, because I suppose they're monstrous in a way because they're created through a sleep thing or something. I don't know. I fell asleep halfway through the episode.
Yeah, I know it's called Morpheus. That's about it. Though it's funny now how there's a thing called Morpheus, there's a thing called Sandmen, and Jenna Coleman's in it.
Yeah.
Funnily enough.
Foreshadowing.
Oh yeah, what, like 6 years prior?
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll move on to the much better episode, Face the Raven by Sarah Dollard. This is her first contribution to the series. Wouldn't be the last. In fact, it's one of only two, I think. This one is interesting. Like, I say it's better, but that's because fecal matter is it's not like difficult to improve, frankly. That being said, I still like it. It's got some interesting ideas. You've got the return of Rigsy, which I actually really like because I really like Rigsy as a character. And Clara dies finally.
God. Do you know what it is?
Time
I
finally
think, like,
catches up with her.
the way it happens with like the whole timer tattoo thing, I really like that.
Yeah, I like
It
that as a
feels
concept.
unique compared to like somebody just getting zapped by a Cyberman or something like that. It just feels a bit different. And the fact it's like a raven, like, oh, I love it. Ooh.
Yeah, I do really like the concept of a trap street as well. That's something I started like looking up after the episode, which I suppose is a good thing in one sense. If once you've watched an episode of Doctor Who and it's done something interesting and you start to research it after, that's definitely a positive. That being said, I think there's like at one point you see like all these humans. In reality, they're aliens posing as humans, and I think at one point you see like a Cyberman being repaired by an Ood, and I'm like, I don't buy that. I don't buy that.
Yeah,
at all.
I saw that and I thought, what the hell? Like, it's a Cyberman who's like severely damaged. There's just an Ood just fiddling around with his parts. Oh God, that's mad. Oh God. Oh God. Context matters, right? There's a... God.
Damn it, man, Dan, honestly.
There's an Ood
Acting all Ood.
just being an Ood. Curious, I suppose. Yeah, let's move on before that context.
No, it's fine.
Bites us on the arse.
I also like the fact, actually, this is... I actually completely forgot about this. You know, in the MCU, which is the thing we've spoken about a little bit on this podcast,
Yes.
there's a character in Black Panther called Shuri, played by Letitia Wright.
Ah, yes.
She's in this. I was like, what?
Do you know what it is? I had to look twice.
I did as well.
Like, I swear to God, you're in something that I've watched before. And I was like, right, I'm going to have to look at the cast. And saw it, and I was like, ah.
I see.
Yeah.
And then, which, you know, this is the first time about a Black Panther character in Doctor Who, because Daniel Kaluuya appeared in Planet of the Dead, and then went on to be in Black Panther. I know he's not in the new one, annoyingly. But yeah, I thought that was quite interesting. We've got me returning again randomly. This time as the one who's dishing out justice like a really small version of Batman. I am vengeance. I am the night. I am me.
I am the immortal me that this trap street needs.
Yeah, so we get a slightly more closure to Clara's arc in that it's addressed again for the second time in the entire series, where she's getting really, really reckless. I'm like, you could have done this a little bit better because you only address it at the beginning of episode 3 and then wait until literally episode 10 to actually get back to it. That being said, I think it's perfectly within her character to take the responsibility from Rigsy with the tattoo and just plan it on herself because she's assuming that they're going to win. And he's like,
Yeah.
No, we're not. I'm like, you got your comeuppance, Clara, you silly, silly sausage. Honestly. Cardboard isn't indestructible, you know. Further
Really
proof.
not, apparently.
No, it can actually just be killed by a CGI bird with some smoke and some silent screaming, which in fairness is actually pretty horrifying to watch. Because I'm like,
yeah,
I was trying to
death was
picture
pretty
the...
like...
Yeah.
I mean, I wonder like how like somebody dies when they're killed by the Raven. Like, I'm assuming like their soul is just like vaporized by this creature or somewhat. Or, I don't know. It just looks horrifying, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, like it's a I mean, it's one of those things where like when I saw it, I'd forgotten that I'd seen some behind the scenes photos of an episode. Well, a couple of episodes later, which shows Clara in like a diner uniform. So I forgot that I was like, oh, she dies now. It's like, oh, all right, then I can work with this. And you know, as I say, overall, I think it's still a fairly effective death. Even though it doesn't last. Stephen, again, God damn it, Stephen. But yes, let's address the episode that I have been almost most looking forward to talking about, Heaven Sent by Stephen Moffat. I want Dan to explain every reason why he's not big on this episode, because I'm very curious.
I just absolutely hate this episode. I think it's just boring as hell.
Boring as hell.
Yeah.
Yeah?
It is literally the Doctor just being all depressed. And I mean, yeah, understandable. I mean, hell. But, like, it's just so bizarre. Like, nothing truly exciting happens in that episode. Like, I want a grieving Doctor to do something absolutely exciting and reckless. I don't really want him going to some planet, go mining, and then get chased by a fly monster, and then it's all in a loop of skulls in an ocean and a fly monster, and skulls in an ocean and a fly monster, and a bit of mining. It's only taken like 4 billion years or something. I was just like, yeah, I feel like I've been watching this for 4 billion years. And now Regan's going to explain why I'm just completely wrong.
Well, hang on, because we're going to have very differing opinions on this episode and the next one. It's just a question of whether or not I actually agree with you on this. Maybe I'm kind of leading you on, and in reality I agree. I fucking don't. No, this episode I think is one of my favourite episodes of Doctor Who, just full stop. Which is, I think, is the same for a lot of people. I mean, this is basically a bona fide classic at this point. Sorry, Dan. Because heaven forbid, I mean, heaven sent. No, we're not going to go there. I really appreciate the fact it's so experimental in the sense that it is literally just 50 minutes of the Doctor talking to himself. Like, I can understand why one would hear that as a premise and be like, nah, I'm not interested. That sounds boring. For me, despite the fact that why he's grieving, which, you know, this entire episode is basically an allegory for grief and trying to get over it. I understand why he's doing this, and I do like it, even if it is for a character that I don't care for. But the series does a good establish of these two being really close, so it works. I think the setting of a constantly shifting castle is a really cool idea. I really like the Veil, which is the fly creature, who's also played by the same actor who plays Colony Sarf at the beginning of the series, because he's tall. though with minimal snakes and mostly just flies, annoyingly.
No snakes, he's just flies.
Yeah.
Fly man.
The Fly. Oh, if only it was the Doctor versus Jeff bloody Goldblum.
You see, the difference is, though, The Fly is actually a good film. This episode just isn't.
I cannot believe that. I cannot believe this. Like,
Do you know
like
what
honestly,
it is, right? Like, I think, you know what it is? I actually saw, I looked up, like, how popular this episode is because I just thought it was super boring. And it turns out, like, I am definitely in the minority when it comes to people. Like, I would happily skip past this episode, no problem.
Yeah, this is the third time I've heard, like, even a mixed opinion at the least on this story. But you said, like, it's complete rubbish, and I find it really boring. I was like, wow, that is actually really cool, because it's nice to get well, because it's actually nice to get a different viewpoint on it, especially for an episode that is widely beloved, for us to go around and say, no, it's not. I like that, mostly because it's usually me doing that.
No, it's usually you roasting things, which we'll no doubt get to very later on in this episode. That grin says it all.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's just, look, if I'm going to say the things I like, the Veil, the fly creature, he's cool.
Uh-huh.
Okay? The Doctor going in like this mentally unstable loop gets a little bit tedious, I'm going to say. Yeah, I understand the grief and all this, but it's just a very dull episode in my mind. Like, when I watch Doctor Who, I want to be excited by it. Like, I want to, like, actually feel for him. Like, in this, I just didn't, because he's just talking to himself, being an absolute loon for 50 minutes.
Can we, though, at least just agree on the music that plays when he's smashing through the wall, and just that entire, like, 3 or 4 minute segment? Do you know what it is?
I was just about to mention that I do really like the music for that bit.
Mm-hmm.
I do.
That's
probably
amazing.
the only highlight. So the Veil, the score, and just the occasional, like, Menti B.
Funnily enough, though, that track, which I think is called Breaking the Wall on the soundtrack, which the Series 9 soundtrack took a couple of years to even come out. I think it was in 2019 or something when it got released. Yes, it was actually, because I was going to use that track for the show reel that I put up for the final year of our foundation degree. It was initially going to be that. But I thought, I haven't got 4 minutes worth of footage to use. So I was like, I'm gonna have to shift it to something else a little bit quicker. And also it doesn't really work for music for like a show reel. It's quite grand, but it's not like fast paced. It's almost like it runs for about 4.5 billion years. But of course, like the big thing at the end is the revelation that this entire thing has happened inside. We haven't actually referenced it. Actually, is the confession dial thing that he gets at the beginning of the series. So the Time Lords trap him in it because they want to know about the hybrid, and he's like, no, I'm not going to talk about it. 4.5 billion years later. Okay, I'll talk about it. Right?
The Time Lord Council are just sitting at the table with their fingers just twiddling their thumbs like, yep.
I was like, I know he's a Time Lord, but how he's taking the piss at this point.
Taking the blummer mick.
But yeah, we've got the revelation that Gallifrey's back, which was actually spoiled in the bloody synopsis for this that came out, and they even put on a spoiler warning. I'm like, why put a spoiler warning on the bloody synopsis, you nusses? Okay, let's talk. Okay, we've got 2 episodes left. Right, let's get to Hellbent. You like this one, don't you?
Yeah, kinda. It's alright. It's
yeah,
not...
kinda.
Yeah, kinda. Oh, I didn't like that tone.
No, you didn't.
No, I didn't. Sorry, me. God. It's alright. I mean, I will admit, like, that scene where, the Doctor just comes out and he's stood there and the Time Lord Council just all have the weapons drawn on them and then they just all drop them inside with the Doctor. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, that is the best scene in the entire episode. Although I actually
the rest of it is just like...
I think my initial favourite one is actually when he first comes out and the General from Day of the Doctor's there, which is nice to see him back, and he's like, Doctor, we are here to collect him, blah, blah, and he's just like, no, I'm going to walk back in. I really like that. It's a shame we didn't get Timothy Dalton back as Rassilon. That would have been nice.
I was a bit...
Apparently he was going to, but he was too busy filming Penny Dreadful, I think it was, so they couldn't get him back. I was like, well, just use someone else then, please, because Timothy Dalton is like a nutter Time Lord. It's amazing. Should have gotten Daniel Craig. Would have been funny. No, this episode is crap. I really, really don't like it. I'm actually going to reference...
like a couple of eeny-weeny bits, it's just an average episode to me. It's nothing
there's
too good or too bad. It's just alright.
Yeah, there's a YouTube channel that I've been following for a good few years, Council of Geeks. The one who runs that channel, they really, really don't like Hellbent. I think they had it as like the worst episode of Doctor Who ever. Like, they got really frustrated with this, which I totally get, because it's just... It's hyping up the fact of how important Clara is. And, like, the Doctor's willing to destroy, like, the entire universe for her. I'm like, why her? Like, what has she actually done? Like, to really justify that beyond...
Yeah.
Like, and also the fact that she comes back. Which I like in concept, where it's like, oh, you're technically frozen, so you haven't got a pulse. Because you will still end up in the trap street. I'm like, okay, like...
Kind of like the Doctor giving her false hope as well. It's like, oh, you'll be fine, it'll come back.
I like that. Actually, the scene in the cloisters when the Doctor reveals that he was trapped in there for 4.5 billion years for her, and she just stares at him in just like complete disbelief. Like, I actually really like that. I think that's good.
Is a good bit.
But of course, the return of Gallifrey is unbelievably pointless. Utterly pointless. Just a complete waste. Which I really hate, actually, the fact that when Stephen Moffat had an interview just after he left, and he talked about why did you bring Gallifrey back now? And he's like, because I thought there's absolutely nothing interesting in the Doctor searching for Gallifrey. I'm like, well, if you don't think it's very interesting, then why the hell did you do it? Like, yeah, I wasn't expecting to have to wait for 50 years to see Gallifrey again. I would not, but 2 years. Like, honestly, you could have given it a little bit longer. Honestly. And then you've got the hybrid stuff, which pops back up again. I like... Again, I know I say I really don't like that, but there's certain bits I do like. I like the idea that both Davros and the Time Lords both assumed that the hybrid was Dalek and Time Lord. Because 2 great warrior races, of course, the only ones that would think of that are the ones that are just going to make assumptions because they've fought each other for thousands of years. So I like that, and even the Doctor's like, it doesn't actually say that it's Dalek and Time Lord, you just kind of assumed it was. Which is what we did!
Yep.
And then you're like, oh, is it me? Because she pops up again, because she's lived forever, and she's like sat at like the edge of the universe as it's about to end. I'm like, yeah, you've still got like a 21st century leather jacket and some piercings, like, we're like trillions upon trillions of years in the future. You're looking very modern there, Maisie. And then this is the actual. This is what the hybrid actually is, according to Stephen Moffat in Doctor Who magazine. Got to stop revealing really important stuff and stuff that's not in the TV show. Oh, because I'd complain about Star Wars doing that all the time as well. It's the Doctor and Clara. The idea that the hybrid is not one person but 2. I'm like, wow, amazing. Brian Cox style, amazing. It's not.
Yeah, that's just lame as hell. That's lame as hell.
Yeah.
Much like this episode.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, now you think it's lame. You cheat. You hack. You're just piling on.
Still not as bad as that other one, like, but
get lost. And I really don't like the fact that Clara just gets to run off in a space diner TARDIS, which looks literally that last shot of the TARDIS going one way and the diner spinning the other way. I'm like, that is one of the worst shots in Doctor Who history.
Yeah, I was not gonna lie. I was in a bit of disbelief there. I was like, "All right, then, you have a TARDIS that is in fact a typical American diner."
Yeah, which is actually for keen eyes, it's actually the same diner that was used at the beginning of Doctor Who series 6. When
I noticed that.
Yeah, I was like, "What are you trying to suggest with this?" Like, like I don't get it. And then the Doctor gets a new sonic screwdriver as well, which I didn't actually mention the fact that the sonic screwdriver goes very much away, thank God. The actual behind-the-scenes reason is quite funny. Well, first of all, Sonic sunglasses. Hate them.
Oh,
that's atrocious.
Don't get me bloody started with those.
I do like the joke
sunglasses.
of don't look at my browser history, and they're like, whoa. I'm like, yeah, I told you. I was like, are you telling me that while he's saving the world, he's like watching porn or something on that?
2 Slitheen, 1 Dalek. Oh god. Oh god.
Raxascar or Phalabatorius. No, I've ruined it now. But yeah, behind the scene reason as to why there's no sonic screwdriver until the end, because Peter Capaldi hated using 11s. Because he's like, this isn't my screwdriver, it's the previous one. I don't like using this. I'm like, you sound like a child, Peter.
No, I don't want it.
I don't want it.
That screwdriver design initially, I was like, that looks so needlessly complicated. That being said, I like it more in more recent times, especially considering the screwdriver we're currently still dealing with. There's a very good way of describing that, which we'll get to when we get to Series 11. Yeah, what a rubbish way to end Series 12. Except for the Husbands of River song. Batty episode.
Oh, it's nuts. I think if I was going to sum that episode up, it's just nuts.
Yeah.
It's just absolutely bonkers.
But it's a good kind of nuts, without sounding weird.
Oh yeah, like it's definitely one of the more like unserious Christmas episodes where like there's an impending doom. No, it's just some like freaky cyborg.
Yeah.
It's just on a quest to collect heads, apparently.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, like the first 40 minutes of the episode is basically just rambling.
Yeah.
I also really like the fact that River doesn't actually realise that she's actually talking to the Doctor until like the very end. I think it's a really cool idea, because from her perspective, he's only got a set amount of faces, and she's met them all now. So she isn't going to see this one. I like that, and of course, I now say that the best scene of a character being introduced to the TARDIS actually now goes to the 12th Doctor when he takes the piss, and he's like, "It's my go," and he just goes like, "Oh my God!" And I was like, I really like that as an idea. That's actually really good. But yeah, it's like it's a lot of rambling up until the end when she does figure out that it's the Doctor, and it's really sweet. I really like that, especially because I'm used to like.
It's a good kind of end to it, I think, and I like the fact that they don't just like, oh, hello, Doctor again. It's like all this kind of tension between the two characters, and then it's towards the end when everything's kind of hitting the fan when she realizes it's the Doctor.
Yeah.
So it's a nice way to kind of wrap that special up, I think.
Yeah. You also have Nardole in this.
Right, I want you to explain this to me, right?
Okay.
So, Nardole, as we know in this episode, gets his head lopped off.
He does.
Right? How on the multitude of planets does the Doctor reassemble that man? He's decapitated, for Christ's sake.
Well, you did watch the superhero one, which we'll get to when we address Series 10, and they do actually explain it, where he's like, he put him back together because he was lonely. Which I'm like, that's actually really cute.
Yeah, but how did he put him back together? That's what I want to know.
Well, he was using his screwdriver, Daniel.
I don't think Nardole's made of freaking Legos, dude. Just this bit goes here, this bit goes here.
Have you actually gotten to Series 10 yet?
I might have.
Okay.
Or will be revealed shortly.
He fucking hasn't, has he? Yeah, they do make a joke about that at the beginning of Series 10 with like a screw that falls out when like you first meet him. I'm like, oh, so he's actually a robot. I like that now. Yeah, I think when he's initially introduced, I'm like, he's so fucking annoying. But now I've seen Series 10, I'm like, it's actually quite endearing. I really like that, especially when he first realizes that like the Doctor isn't the Doctor that we're looking for, and he looks like he just pisses himself. He's like, he's like, please don't make puddles.
Please don't make puddles.
In a Scottish accent, puddles. Oh, there's actually a lot in this episode that I do really like. And then of course the ending with Beryllium. I love that entire bit. Like as soon as they land on the planet.
That bit.
I love the usage of time travel when the crash lands and it's like, oh, there's a lot of flames. Like, okay, I'll travel to the morning after, and there's a guy just fixing that. Like, right, use his diamonds, make a restaurant of that. And he's like, okay. So it just cuts to like a couple of years later. And he's like, okay, I'd like to reserve a table. Like, oh, next time you can reserve the table is in 50 years. I'm like, that's fine. I'll come back in 50 years.
Just let me step into this blue box.
Yeah.
See you in 50 years.
I remember watching it and I was like, okay, I'm going to reference a lot of Forest of the Dead now, because I'm like, there's going to be a lot of this I'm going to be picking up on. Where he's like, yeah, he's got a new suit. He's given her the screwdriver, which I think is still possibly, beyond 11's, the best looking sonic screwdriver, just full stop. And it's nice, it looks all clean. And I like as well the fact that when she's got the diary as well, and it is pretty much full, and there's a great line where she's like, a person like the Doctor wouldn't give you a diary this specific if it wasn't like a specific amount of time there was going to be with it. Like, I really like that. It's a good idea. And again, with Series 9, the music in this scene is amazing. I absolutely adore it.
It's bloody good.
And yes, I did cry as well. I was like, oh, you're going to kill her in 5 minutes, aren't you? But honestly, that like last bit where it's like, okay, how long is a night on Darillium? And he's like, 24 years. Like, Stephen,
Damn.
you are cruel. But also, 24 years of the Doctor and River on one planet like that is bound to be trouble. Bound to be trouble.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah, this is one that, actually, as I'm talking about it, I do find myself enjoying more, actually. Despite the first half being fairly, you've got King Hydroflax, who's crazy, and he's got a talking robot body thing, and he's like,
that just wants to have heads, apparently.
Yeah, we
for, like,
all do,
most
apparently.
of the episode, and then it's like, oh yeah, we need to just focus on the Doctor and River, not this like psychotic cyborg.
Yeah. But yeah, I still really like it. And Series 9 as a whole, I think I do prefer to Series 8. There's definitely more stuff that I prefer, like Heaven Sent, which is one that Dan doesn't like. I kind of flicker between Hellbent and Sleep No More for being the weakest episode. I think I have to go with Sleep No More, only because I don't want to rewatch this. Hellbent I will, just for like the ending. But
I think there's very little in Sleep No More that just actually makes you want to watch it. Like, I think seeing it once is just enough for me. Like, if I was going to watch Series 9, easily just skip and pretend that it's just not an episode, because it's just not. Like, it's nothing exciting. Like, all there is just a bunch of sandmen. And
I think.
That's it.
Yeah, a bit of a waste, but on the whole, I think it's still a fairly solid series. Later on this month, I think it's later this month, we're talking about Series 10. Speaking of, because now we'll get to the playlist, because we've spoken about Doctor Who first. We've gotten that out of our system. Who's going to go first? Is it me or you?
I'll go first.
You'll go first. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm gonna go backward with this, seeing as how like we've mixed it up. So rather than go like down the list, I'm gonna go up the list this time.
Oh, okay then. Wow, we're changing things up, aren't we?
So, I think like the record for like the biggest number in a playlist is like 47 or something like this.
I think so, yeah.
Okay, well yeah, it's nothing like that. It's 18 this time.
You, honestly, Dan, and you still beat us.
What did I actually?
Yes, you did.
I was thinking to myself, oh yeah,
I
Regan
got 10, okay?
because victory is mine. Okay, so we're just gonna go up the list rather than down the list. Of course, I just have to start with like the arcade thing. While I've been waiting for like a few games to install, I've just been making my way sluggishly through Aliens Colonial Marines, and God, I just...
Dan, for fuck's sake.
Do you know what it is? The only thing I like about that game is the mission that involves the weird, like, mutated xenomorphs that just pop. Like,
Yeah.
You can't, like, move around where they're walking and stuff. That is probably the only decent part of that game. The rest of it is just...
Yeah.
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 I hate the mechanics of it. The damage is just BS. It's just not a very good game.
Not a fan.
To be honest. Not a fan of it. Now, seeing as how it's October, you know, the season of all things spooky,
Is it?
I have made a list of 31 films that I'm going to be have started watching.
31.
October this month. So, Dawn of the Dead from 1978, this is George A. Romero. I think this is just like the standard theatrical one. I know there's a few editions of this, as the director's cut, and there's another one after
Yeah, I
that.
think it's like 4 or something.
Oh,
4 or
there's
5?
quite a few of them. There's quite a few of them. Yeah, I still really like it. I mean, it's a little...
Yeah, I've
Even
only
there.
seen the Snyder one. I haven't seen the original George A. Romero, which I think I was going to until I watched Night of the Living Dead, and I thought it wasn't very good. Hot take. But
Yeah, it's really good. I really like it. Now we get to Doctor Who Series 10.
yes!
Episode 1, the pilot.
Oh, it's a genius title. I love it.
And then really liked it. Following on from that was episode 2, again, really liked it. Episode 3, really liked it. And now if you want to know what the hot take is, I've only seen 3 episodes out of this, and it's still better than season 9.
Wow! I cannot wait for you to get to the finale of series 10, because that one is going to be beautiful to talk about.
But you know what it is? I've only seen 3 episodes, and why do I feel like it's actually better than series 9?
I'll say this though.
It feels so much better than it.
The second one, Smile. Did you recognise the writer?
Yes.
Why did you recognise the writer? Why, Dan?
Do you know what it is, right? I think there was something in my brain that just clicked. I mean, not many things click in my brain, being all honest, you know.
Would you like me to tell you why?
Yes, because I'm kind of kicking myself in the head why I don't quite understand why this clicked with me.
No, it's the fact that the guy who wrote this episode, which is actually really good, also wrote In the Forest of the Night from Series 8, which was shite. That's didn't smile on that one.
No, it was quite the opposite.
I slept.
Yeah, I'm really liking this, so next week I think I'm just going to end up watching a lot more from Series 10.
Get in.
Because I'm really digging it. I mean, these 3 episodes, despite only seeing 3, like, I'm hooked. I am absolutely hooked.
Hooked.
Next up is, again, part of my 31 Days of Horror. We have a found footage film. Now, this has got to be, like, probably one of the creepiest ones that I've seen. Hell House LLC.
I've heard of it, so I'm assuming it's on Shudder.
Yes, it's on Shudder. There are 3 films. I'd only really recommend watching the 3rd one, to be honest, which is LCC, because the others are kind of crap.
Oh, fair enough then.
All I'll say is, right, there is just a creepy-ass clown, and Jesus Christ, it's just the most petrifying thing I've seen. I mean, besides your face.
There you go.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Ooh, now this. So, a new horror film, Smile. I went to see this in cinema with
You've
my
now
girlfriend.
seen 2 things this week called Smile.
Yeah, I know. Okay. I think this might be, like, the creepiest film I've seen in a long, long time.
So I've heard. I've been hearing some really solid stuff about it, which is surprising.
Is super fucked up.
Oh.
I mean...
Okay, then.
Yeah, like, I would strongly recommend you go see it, because holy hell, like, it is such a disturbing film. It's a little slow to start with, but by God, does it make up for it.
Oh, yeah.
But really good, I'd highly recommend it. Episode 8 of She-Hulk. Now, would I be fair in saying this is actually just the best episode of She-Hulk so far?
That is very fair. Except for one thing.
Daredevil's Walk of Shame.
Yeah, actually to do with that, it's like... No, more so the what if that, like, I would have preferred. If it was, well, instead of with Jennifer Walters, why shouldn't it have just been with She-Hulk?
Oh, God.
Because it wouldn't be a walk of shame, it would be a crawl of shame.
He wouldn't be blind, he'd be severe.
I am no longer the man without fear.
No, you're the man with no bottom now.
God damn it.
You didn't do She-Hulk, She-Hulk did you.
Took advantage of
Yeah,
him
I think that
because
was
he
definitely
blind.
the best episode. Best episode up to date.
Yeah.
But you know what it is, though? It is the conspiracy of, because he can't see, you've got to sense heartbeat. Like, Jennifer could just transform into She-Hulk and we wouldn't know.
Yeah,
like,
we would.
I mean...
And I think he would as well.
Crawling.
It's like, everything feels a little bit heavy. Oh, no.
Oh, God.
Oh, dear.
Another one for the 31 Days of Horror. Friday the 13th Part 3, also known as Friday the 13th 3D. This is the first one where Jason gets his iconic hockey mask. Yeah, there are sequences shot in 3D.
Ugh.
I mean, some of them are alright, some of them are naff as hell, but, you know.
As in, like, Jaws 3D, or...?
Oh, no, not as excruciating as that
no.
monstrosity. No. It's more the kills are shot in 3D and the title sequence is all 3D, which the title sequence I don't like. It's super cringy, I think.
Well, yeah.
It's just really naff. Now, this isn't part of the watch list. I woke up like really early one morning and I was just like, I just fancy watching something on Shudder, so I watched a film called Chopping Mall from 1986. Now, let me just give you the overview of what I thought this film was. So I saw this title, I thought, oh yeah, it's about some lunatic goes in a mall, kills a bunch of people. No, it's just like 3 evil R2-D2/Wally hybrids that just go around killing teenagers in a mall.
Yay.
That's it. That's it. Yeah, it's not very
fucking
good.
Dyson gone bad or something.
Yeah, it's literally like evil Wally. And when these robots kill the teenager, they say, "Thank you, have a nice day," and then it just carts off. It's like, okay. Yeah, it's not very good. Another film part of the 31 Days of... Well, I'm just going to come up with different titles for these, but just another one is Hellbound, Hellraiser 2. Okay, this has changed for me.
So I heard.
There are some pretty naff instances of VFX in this, I'm not going to lie to you.
Oh, okay.
They're pretty naff, especially involving, well, if you watch it, things involving the Leviathan. It's just a bit naff.
Right.
It's good, but it...
I'm actually really annoyed that the new one isn't available in the UK at all.
I know, I'm really pissed off with that.
I know you are. I mean, I kind of figured it was going to be on Disney Plus because Prey came to Hulu,
but
so
you know
it
what
went to Disney Plus in the UK.
It annoys me because I want to watch Terrifier 2. I'm going to have to wait God knows how long for that to come out in the UK. And now I'm going to have to do the same with this new Hellraiser. Annoyed.
Yeah, you are.
Damn it.
So there are.
Now, speaking of Terrifier, a rewatch of Terrifier. Still a really good film. It's gory as hell. And Art the Clown is probably like the creepiest clown in modern cinema, according to me. I think he's scarier than Pennywise. I think the whole look is just terrifying.
Yeah.
So creepy.
I'll get
to
it
just
eventually.
sits there. Oh, it's really good. I think it used to be on Shudder. I just purchased it on Amazon Prime because it was like £3, so...
Right.
Another rewatch of Evil Dead 2. Oh my god, I love Evil Dead 2. It's just such a funny film. And you are going to have to watch the trilogy.
I know.
Honestly, you will not regret watching Evil Dead or Evil Dead 2. They are just absolutely nuts. And this is by the guy who brought you Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Like, it is absolutely nuts. I finally did it, Regan. I finished Stranger Things. So, season 4, episode 7 to episode 9, the, like, mini Snyder cut.
4
Jesus
hours.
Christ. Jesus frickin' Christ.
Yeah, it's a lot of it. Eddie.
I'm still pretty depressed, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, you are. Munson. I miss him already.
Yep.
He's dead.
Pretty depressed still. Do you know what it is? Like, I had none of this spoiled whatsoever. I just thought it was going to be nice and happy. You know, Vecna's going to lose and all this, but no. We have to lose the guy who played Metallica on the roof of a camper van in the Upside Down.
Running up that hill.
I'm just so sad. Now, the new season of The Walking Dead has started airing. A new episode comes out every Monday.
Yay.
Which is quite unusual. It used to be every, like, Sunday. Yeah, it's good. I've got a feeling that it's just going to be ups and downs, really, because obviously this is the last kind of thing The Walking Dead's ever going to do. So there's going to be a lot of episodes from what I've looked into.
Right.
And yeah, for a starter episode, it was pretty good. Enough said.
Yeah.
And finally, a rewatch of 5 Cream. Scream.
I don't know which is funnier, 5 Cream or Scriform. I want to say Scriform only because my girlfriend's reaction to hearing Scriform is always really funny.
Scriform. Yeah, I just love the Scream franchise. I think it's just one of, like, the best horror franchises out there because it's just all consistent with each other, and I don't think there's a bad film in that franchise at all.
I don't think so either. I don't think so. No, I'm trying.
Like, the lowest one that I've rated is Scream 3, which is like 3 stars, but that doesn't mean it's bad, it just means it's not as good as the other ones.
Yeah, I think I'd give that to Scream 4. Actually, I think I was a lot more positive on Scream 3 than I think other people are, especially for the third act, which I really liked.
Yeah. Do you know what it is? I think it's like, some people prefer 3 to 4, and some people prefer 4 to 3. I'm in the sort of 4 part of that, because I think it's just a little bit better. Not by much. I mean, I think, like, I've rated 4, like, 3.5, whereas like it's just like another half star just because I like a few other things a little better in 4 than 3.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's still really good. But yes, that is everything I've watched / played. One thing which I kind of regret playing because it's just shit.
That sounds about right.
Oh, I cannot wait to hear what you've watched because I know exactly what you've watched. I can't wait for this.
Let's kick things off with a rewatch of Uncharted. Yes.
Right.
Yeah, so I was away Monday and Tuesday in Liverpool, and conveniently enough, there was a TV in there that some lovely previous guest had decided to leave their Now TV account logged in, so thanks to whoever that was. So I was just watching a bunch of shit on that. So I rewatched Uncharted because I was on there, and I was, yeah, it's all right. I mean, I remember vaguely enjoying it when I think it was actually.
I mean, you saw it in cinema, didn't you?
Yes,
Yeah.
I did. Yeah, because that was like the 4th episode that we did. I think it was actually the first one that we did with the webcam thing.
Yeah, I think that might have been it actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all right. I mean, look, I never played the games, and Mark Wahlberg is doing his Marky Mark thing.
Yeah.
And Tom Holland is Tom Holland. Yeah, it's all right. Halloween episode of Bottom from series 3. Just because. Yeah, I like how they become like Satan worshippers at the ends. Yeah, I really have to get back to watching Bottom again. It's not on the pile of movies that's on the floor, because of course not. I will also say this one, even though it's technically a watch, I suppose, is the reason I was away, which was for the Doctor Who Worlds of Wonder exhibition in Liverpool. So this started in May and it's ending at the end of this month, so we decided to go when it was towards the end, so it would be slightly quiet. I got plenty of photos. You got a picture of me
Good.
inside a Dalek shell, so that was quite fun. And it's nice how a lot of the stuff
Regan is a
that's
Dalek.
there. Oh yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's there that's straight out of the show as well. I think one of the bits I actually like
that's
the
pretty
most.
good. Like,
they've got Cassandra there, the skin.
oh really? Holy moly!
But what they've done is it's just like the skin bit, and the face is projected on, so it looks amazing.
All right. Yeah.
And there's a point where like directly opposite is the creature from the brain of Morbius. I think it's just Morbius. I can't remember what it's called.
The Morbius creature. Yeah, it's just called the Morbius creature.
Yeah, I got a photo of that, and you can just see on his chest a little imprint of Cassandra's face being reflected into it. That being said, the gift shop ain't great. I didn't get anything from that. They're all quite expensive as well, as you do. Toy Story of Terror. Just finding anything horror related, well, Halloween related on Disney Plus that isn't the Treehouse of Horrors. I did watch. I didn't put it in there, so I did watch the original one, and it's still really good. Blah blah blah. Toy Story of Terror is actually quite decent. It's actually all right. Okay.
Oh, this is why I've just been giving you the answer because I just really want you to get to this.
I could just skip Passenger and just leave them both.
Oh no! Please don't! Please don't! Our audience needs to hear this. This is essential.
First time watch of Halloween. Fucker, why do I bother resurrecting myself?
Sure, it is that message you sent me. It's like, I think it was like, there's a guy in this who has a bigger mask fixation than you.
Yeah, he does.
I was like, yeah, he's watching Halloween Resurrection.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you just understand why it is just absolute fecal matter?
I actually think it's the third best Halloween film. It's not. Fuck off. It's not.
No, did you watch the whole thing or did you just give up?
I watched it in 2 sittings.
I'm not surprised.
I watched it because it's like an hour and a half, so I watched the first 45 minutes and then I turned it off and went to bed, and then the next morning I finished the rest of it.
Oh, God. Yep, we'll be talking about that on Graveyard Chit Chat in excruciating detail.
Do I have to, though?
Yeah, we're not gonna be talking nice about that bloody monstrosity. Put it that
No,
way.
it's pretty garbage.
Oh yeah, hot take. Not even a hot take. It's
No,
just
it's
truth.
not. It's barely a hot take. There's that new Marvel Studios special presentation currently streaming on Disney Plus, Werewolf by Night. There's people have
I'm
been...
curious about this because I'm quite tempted with it, so I want to know what you think of it.
Well, people have been raving about it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. It's alright. Sorry.
It's alright.
Like, I like how the werewolf design is actually just nice and practical, but it does... Did you see the Will Ferrell version of Land of the Lost?
No.
Good. Because it's terrible. But there's a character in there called Chaka, which if you have seen the film, you'll probably understand, who's supposed to be like a Neanderthal kind of thing, but looks terrible.
Right.
That's what the werewolf looks like in this, but with slightly more budget.
Slightly more budget.
I also didn't realise that the guy who plays him, the lead in the film, was, well, the TV special, we'll call it, also popped up in M. Night Shyamalan's last film, Old, last year. I was like, oh, okay, I do actually recognise you. Yeah, it's alright. I actually would have liked it to have been a little bit longer. Though it is nice that it's actually that the director is none other than Michael Giacchino. In his first proper directorial credit outside of a short thing. So I quite like that. Rewatch of Beetlejuice.
Such a good film.
First I'm watching it in 4K and it looks really clean. It's actually funny how I still really like the film, but I remember next to nothing of it beyond the final 10 minutes and a few little smatterings here and there. Like, I'd forgotten how much time is spent at the beginning before actors Alec Baldwin and Gina Davis are drowned. Obviously it's the actors, not the characters. And Winona Ryder in a breakout role, when she's awesome. I love her. And of course Michael bloody Keaton, which I have to give a lot more props to this film for the fact that if this film wasn't successful, we wouldn't have gotten him as Batman. It was purely because of this. We're like, well, we'll see how this is, Mike. You're going to see how the horror thriller comedy thing goes before you decide to cast him as Batman.
Yeah, clearly.
Logic. Yes, I still really like it. Another Halloween film.
Yep, but you need to, give...
Halloween 2007, the Rob Zombie remake, where the first half of the film is basically a prologue. It's literally about 40-ish minutes, 40 to 50 minutes of Michael Myers as a kid. I'm like, this is going in completely the wrong direction for me. Like, I get why you're doing it, because you want to do something different, that's fine. But I don't need to see Michael Myers as a kid. I also don't need backstory for...
A lot of Rob Zombie's filmography is very sort of in white trash upbringing kind of films and stuff like this. It's all about explicitness and this kind of thing. So yeah, I think I like it, don't get me wrong, but we really don't need a prologue to Michael Myers. That's the whole mystery behind Michael Myers. Yeah,
exactly. And as I say, it didn't need to be I didn't need it. That being said, I think, despite the fact I didn't need backstory to why he picks that mask, we don't need that. I do think it's the best looking one since the original, if not better. I think it looks really good. It looks nice and consistent, as opposed to with stupid eyebrows.
Michael Mybrows.
Yeah, Michael Mybrows. Laurie Strode is in this as well, and I forgot about her.
Yeah, she's played by Scout Taylor Compton.
Okay. That's all I've got in there. I don't remember anything else.
So now we've got to give a little celebratory invisible flag here because you've watched nearly all the Halloween films. You have Halloween 2's Rob Zombie to watch, and then you've got Halloween Ends, and then you are totally and utterly caught up, my friend.
Don't you ever, ever, ever make me watch these films again.
Oh, I'm not gonna. Well, you never know.
No, you're fucking not. Yes, and the final one is a little short that's on Mubi called The Bones, which is a Chilean horror short, which initially I was led to believe is the oldest stop motion film ever. Mm-hmm. Apparently it was released in 1901. So it's like, so this is the oldest film I've ever seen.
This film I've seen, and again, it's a short film, is a film called The X-Ray Eyes, which is this super duper old film, but I think it's one of the first film that uses a jump cut.
Yeah.
I think it's 7 or 8 minutes long or something like that, but it's essentially just some dude gets an X-ray and he turns into a skeleton, but that jump cut is him transforming into the skeleton.
Yeah. To my knowledge, I don't actually think it is the original film because this one came out technically last year. One of the producers was Ari Aster, who did Hereditary a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Decent filmmaker. Shame about the film. And I wasn't big on that one, I'm sorry. And for the entirety of again, it's only 14 minutes long, and I'm like, this can't be from that. I mean, if it is from 1901, that's amazing. That's actually done really. I mean, it's a bit crude in places, but it's done. It's
probably
really well.
been revisited or something like that.
The last thing, because in the credits you see images of the alleged film reels that they found in there. They are just screwed to fuck entirely. Mm-hmm. But there's also bits in the short where it cuts to the main character in the film is a young girl, but it's stop motion animation, stuff like that. But occasionally it'll cut to shots of what's clearly a little girl in a costume, moving around. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that I think, because it sounded like there was some shooting involved, so I think what they've actually done is it's probably a mixture of both, where it's most of the stop motion stuff is the original, and then the live action stuff is what they've added in because maybe the versions that were there was just too screwed up.
Too gone, yeah.
Yeah. Still really, really creepy and very well done. And again, for 1901, if it is from 1901, again, even researching it, I can't fully figure out. I mean, even a review I'm looking at on Letterboxd, that they talk about how this is supposed to be a lost film from 1901, and I spent the whole time, possibly distractingly so, saying, is it really from then? No way did they do this in 1901. So it's one of those things I don't think is ever really going to be fully answered, which, that's absolutely fine. I like it being a bit creepy. But yeah, that's it. I haven't watched Halloween 2.
See, I'm curious as to what you think of Halloween 2 then, because again, those two films are very mix and match. You either like the first one and you absolutely hate the second one, or you love the second one and absolutely hate the first one.
Well, the first one's it's alright. Even though the second half is literally just doing the original film again, and the first half just does something I'm not interested in. So it's a bit it's a bit like the 2018 one. It does some things in the first half that I found very, very uninteresting, and the second half was just the original film again.
Right.
Oh, Dan.
You know what it is, right? I'm going to, again, remind our audience of just how very misguided you are.
You didn't like Heaven Sent, so...
Okay, moving on.
No, so in the words of Julie Andrews from The Sound of Music, Dan, shut the fuck up.
Fair enough.
I promise she...
That's me told.
I promise she did actually see it in the film I haven't seen.
That's me with a slap on the wrist.
Yep. But yes, that is it for this week. We've shifted it around by having the discussion first and ranting about the crap I've been watching after. Maybe I'll do that again. Who knows? But yes, thank you very much for listening. Next week we're not talking about Doctor Who. Thankfully, we're going to give that a couple of weeks. Instead, we are going to be discussing at some length probably Dan's most anticipated film of this year outside of Black Adam.
Oh God, no!
Oh, yes, we will be talking about Halloween Ends, and I believe at some point around that time, probably just after that, I think we're going to be talking about it again on your bloody podcast as well.
Yes, indeedy.
Great, I've got to talk about Halloween Ends twice, you better hope I like it.
No, it's going to be kind of screwed if you don't.
Well, because I've seen Halloween Halloween Kills after seeing only 2 previous ones, so maybe that helped.
Yeah, and you think like Halloween Kills is like the best one to date so far, which is very curiously interesting.
Very curiously interesting.
We'll talk more about that.
Yes.
At a later date.
Yes, we will. But yes, thank you everyone for listening. But also, actually, quick shout out to all the people that watched the previous episode. For some reason, that did extremely well on YouTube. I don't know why, quite frankly.
The question is, audience, can we rank up the views on this one, seeing as how we kind of mixed up a bit in a game we're starting with Doctor Who?
Exactly, yeah. I think last time I checked it was on 40 views. I'm like, Jesus Christ, it's like the 4th most successful one we've done. But yes, thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you next week. But until then, it is goodbye from Dan.
Goodbye.
And it's goodbye from me. Goodbye.